Welcome back everyone to the first video of 2017 and I hope you all had a lovely Christmas and a happy new year. But back in the shed now, getting back on top of things. I've not done an awful lot in the Christmas sort of week, purely because it's kind of been busy. There's been a few bits and bobs that I've started, but then I've needed other stuff, and obviously ordering stuff, it's taken its while to come in dribs and drabs, yada yada yada. But the bits I have been up to, I've resprayed the rear mudguard, so we'll have a look at that in a minute, and maybe do a tentative mounting up, because I've taken the bike off stand. I honestly can't remember where I was up to on the last video. I should have probably watched it, yeah, I've got no idea where I was up to. I think I'd done the exhausts and stuff. So anyway, the bike's basically off the stand now, so I'll be able to sort of kind of sit on it and see how it feels, you know, in the stance that it's in, and I'm liking it. It's lovely. I then thought the next logical step was to start putting the wiring loom in. Well, first of all, I wanted to address some of the messy bits of wiring in the wiring loom, and yeah, let's go over to that first, and we can show you where
okay, so I'm up to this point, and I've stripped out a load of stuff that, fingers crossed, I don't think I need, or I'm not using. Rewrapped it all, so it's quite a nicely thinned out loom. I need to do a bit more where I extended the wiring for the relays. That one probably got a bit too close to the engine at some point, so that I'm going to have to readdress. That's where they go into, so I need to extend those. I might even make those solid connectors and make the block connectors further on. But I kind of need to get the loom in place to work out where they go, because these are probably going to mount on the back of that splash guard. So that's why I started tidying all this up. I got down to this point, and one of the these are the handlebar controls, switchgear controls. So that's all been nice, tidying all that up. I needed to move and extend a few bits here, and one of the crimps in the block here, the wire was a bit corroded and shitty and broke off, so I've had to find out what these crimps are. It's actually upstairs at the moment because I was double checking it. They are they're either called the multi-lock socket connectors, or Harley use them a lot on their light ones, amp ones I think, or AMP, I don't know. So yeah, that pin's in there just because that's what I use to push it out, because obviously when you haven't got any wire or anything on there, it's a bit of a pain to get in and out. So I've had to order some new ones of those to re-crimp and put in a new earth wire on there, so that still needs work. So that's kind of halted that. No point in putting all that in until I've tidied all that up and finished it. So that's a bit of a pain. That kind of stopped me in my tracks 2 or 3 days ago. Let's head this way. I'll do a little walk around of the bike off the stand if I can. It's a bit difficult in here. And we've got the mud guard, that's all been resanded down and painted, a fair few coats, the old satin black, and I'm pretty pleased with the way it's come out. Can't really see those dents, marks on the side now, even in the light they're hard to see. Inside's all done, any hole, whoops, sweaty hands. So yeah, so that's pretty cool. So that's kind of, in fact, I'm going to probably stick that on now, at least using the back bolts. I won't do up the front ones because obviously that's the splash guard I'm going to need to modify and sort out for mounting bits on. But I'd like to see, now it's off the stand with it low down, how this sits on the bike. So my hands are full. Let me put these down and we'll have a look. Okay, there we go. It's nigh on impossible to get any kind of clear idea of how it's all standing, because obviously I'm cramped up in my little shed here, so I have to wait until I roll it out. But yeah, I'm quite happy with that. You know, I don't think you're never going to get that full kind of nice hug that you would on a hard tail, because you need to have a bit of movement. But yeah, for the moment I'm more than happy with that. It's kind of does what it needs to be doing. The rear brake caliper, I cleaned all that up and put some fresh pads in, but the pistons are still sticking a bit, and I can see some of the seals on that one are a bit perished. So while I'm at this point, I'm gonna pop the seal. Probably do that today actually, a bit of brake stuff. Pop the pistons out. I've ordered some more seals, so I'm waiting for the seals for that, so I can re-put that all back together again. Waiting for the crimp to do the wiring loom, so I can put that in to go in. What else? I think I'll need to just I'll probably start by just buttoning everything up. I need to do the chain slack and everything now. I'm going to do that while that's down off the stand, tighten up the front sprocket, then I can tighten all the rear bolts up, tighten the front bolts up, so I know everything's kind of solid. I need to tighten up the bolts here and the clamps on the filters, so I know all that's kind of good. Handlebar clamps, now I've sat on that, I'll move them around. I've kind of rotated the bars a little bit more forward, and it kind of looks a little bit weird from that angle, but it is very comfortable. I rather like the riding position, so I can tighten the pinch bolts up at the top there. What else? I was wondering when I do, because now obviously I'm going to have to drain the fluid out of the rear brake, possibly I might try and sort out this here brake fluid reservoir. Maybe I could do something a bit different with that, and just have a pipe and just have one, just like, you know, like the tube reservoir rather than a big cup thing there. That might be a bit cooler and a bit more streamlined, so I think I might go with that. I've actually got some Tygon tubing. I don't know, in fact looking at it now I'm sure it was left over from something at work, but I'm sure that's not going to be the right size. But we can fiddle around with that once I've drained it all off. And jumping ahead of myself, I've started just trying to work out the nicest routing for me front brake line, fresh washers and everything on there, so that'll probably be the first port of call. I'm just really making all this up as I go along at the moment, so out my flow. I need to get some spaces or something just on the side there to get that so it's centralised and have that looking nice. Haven't decided if the rear indicators are going to mount off here or off there. Don't know yet. What else have I got that I was going to show you as well? I might put these mirrors on that I got ages ago to go on the other Bonneville, and they were going to go on the hardtail Bonneville. Well, they were going to go on that Bonneville anyway. I quite liked them, bar end mirrors, saving them for best. But they look an awful lot like the ones that are now featured on the new Triumph bobber. So with that in mind, I don't want them going on the hardtail one, so I want to do something that looks a bit different. So I think these will probably go on here now and do away with the little cheap £5 plasticky ones. But we'll see. So yeah, so there's something I was saving for the other one, but thanks to Triumph I'm going to have to change my plans and put some different mirrors on. They just look too similar to the ones that are already on there for my liking. What was the other thing? I'll get them over here to look at. There it is. Now I picked this up just before Christmas. I wasn't really fussed about the mount, but just I wanted a light with a number plate light just to make my life easier for MOTs, because at the moment that little setup that I've got there with that little light. It's fine, very bright light, but there's no number plate light, which just makes it a ball ache come MOT time, because we're supposed to have a light on our number plates. So I've got this. It was about £5, I think. It's just one of those eBay jobs, but it's smoked. It's kind of, you know, you don't really see it too much. It's very, what's the word, subtle. But I still haven't 100% decided. Do I go with it mounted on the back, or do I stay with my side mount? Really not sure. If I do put this on the side mount, because the plan was just to bolt that onto the back with this mounting bracket, I'll probably make another one out of aluminium, because this is just going to be cheap ass metal, and I tell you, as soon as you tighten any bolts or anything, all that's going to rust, so I'll get a shot of that. But yeah, this is me just ad-libbing as I go along, just trying to think and get everything up to date and try and remember where I'm up to. It's carried on a little bit longer than I wanted to. I was hoping I start back at work again tomorrow. I was hoping to be riding back to work, but that ain't going to be happening. So a little bit longer, but hopefully it should all tie up quite nicely in time for the hardtail to come in. But right, can't remember what I was going to start with, so I better start with something. Right, and so going to give the old speed bleeders a bit of a try out. We're going to see how well they work. But obviously this whole line is completely empty of brake fluid, so I need to get brake fluid in the line. The speed bleeders kind of suck, in my opinion. These are just supposed to crack it open like a quarter of a turn, and the point of being able to actually open it enough to allow the fluid to come through, I'm getting fluid coming out through the threads as well, which means if there's fluid coming out, there's air getting back in, so it kind of defeats the point. And they just, yeah, I'm just not overly impressed. I like the idea of it, but to be honest, I'm far happier just using one of these one-way valves and a regular nipple. So I'm gonna abandon this, switch back to the standard ones, and just do it the old way. So I've had a delivery of the crimps that I need. They're multi-lock 070s or AMP amp connectors. I think they're used in Harley as well on a lot of their light units and stuff like that. But so I've got those, so I am now able to redo any of the iffy wiring, and also some of the ones that I was going to extend, and I've kind of had to do a kind of splicey job. I'm not doing. I'm going to take this off now. I can extend the blue wire down here and down there, basically just tidy and neaten everything up. We're not going to have all this kind of crimped together bodgy job. Just going to make a very nice neat job of it all. Ideally I could do with shortening this down, because this is all going to be hiding behind the steering head under the frame, but I'm not going to get into chopping all these down. It's just too much work. I can maybe fold them back on themselves. So yeah, not really much, just stripping wires and crimping and putting them back in, but there we go. Okay, hopefully there should be a little picture I've put up there just to show how to get those little connectors out. I got that off the net, but it clearly illustrates the way to do it, because it took me ages to try and figure out how they actually came out. They were not overly obvious when you're trying to pop one of those bad boys out, but so that might be of help for anyone doing it. Switch around. So I'm pretty bored of bleeding the brakes now. I've got fluid coming all the way through the line now. I used a big syringe just to draw the fluid through. You can do reverse bleeding as well, but I'd already kind of made a start, and I just find that usually I end up spraying it all out the top of the master cylinder anyway. But I might use that on the rear brake. But I'm just going to tie the lever up now and see if I can get rid of a bulk of the air bubbles that way, and then get back onto the wiring loom. So we've got most of that all reinstalled now and rewrapped. I'm pretty happy with the way it is. I mean, that is pretty much it, all in. The only thing I need to do is do something with these connector blocks here, possibly extend the wires, bring them to do some mounting points for the relays, but everything else is all neatly kind of either stripped away or tucked away. It all kind of worked out pretty nice. That's the bit that I'm going to have to kind of get inside there, some of the switch gear, but that fitted before, so that's not an issue. Stuff we've had to relocate. This is the only bit I'm a little bit not keen on. It's all a bit open and exposed. Obviously the seat will be over the top of that. The splash guard kind of protects it from the elements. Starter solenoids mounted to the back to the battery box there now. So it's all kind of clean. So look, there you go. So I mean, that's pretty much, well, if you imagine the battery will be there, and then there's obviously the seat on top. So kind of height, you got this nice open space now. Put your shopping in or something. So yeah, that's literally just taken most of the time. That's been a good couple of hours this weekend, just tidying things up and rerouting it and getting it all neat. There's just one plug there which will have a little bit of wiring which goes on to the brake light and rear indicators. So yeah, and then just front end, need to make the wiring up for the headlight. Still a little bit in two minds about whether I'm going to go side mount or mount a light on here. I forgot I'd ordered, like, this one come from China. This light, that's about £8 delivered, which is, it's quite a nice looking light actually when it came. Of course the downside is that it hasn't got a number plate light, but then I could put some little number plate lights on, but then I'm making more work for myself. But that is quite a nice looking light. But yeah, I don't know, we'll see. I'm just keep thinking and jumping around. But yeah, we're getting there. Right then, well, the throttle cables are on and the brakes all bled. Front brake is anyway, so it's nice and firm. Just routed it down here, putting a little P-clip to hold it underneath there. So it's, yeah, quite a nice clean route. So I'm happy with that. So I think I'm going to call it a night there. This probably isn't going to transpire into too much footage, but it's just been a lot of fiddling around, obviously, with the wiring and bits and bobs. I've taken the rear brake master cylinder off. I mean, I need to bleed that through anyway, because we've had the new pistons and seals in. Sorry, not pistons, just the seals and pads. Still don't know whether to go with like one of those racing type tubes, just to clean things up down the front here, because that can come out there. Basically just come out, run up there, and then I'll probably put a P-clip in, just have it held against there, so it'll just be a nice straight line. So I might give it a go. I'll have to try and get some sort of chemical resistant tubing and I guess try and work out exactly how much we need in there to make it all work. So yeah, I'll have to think about that, think about the old rear light, but the car, oh yeah, so I put the crankcase breather in there. I don't know if it's going to live there, but that's where it is for now. And obviously I've got to sort out these wires. But yeah, still a lot to do. Yeah, but
so still a fair bit to do. But this weekend I've run out of time. I've had to give the car a service, and the paintwork on the bonnet's gone, so I've had to clean that and give it some plasti dip, or well, it wasn't plasti dip, it was a liquid wrap equivalent. So the car's had a service. Didn't bother filming that, it's not very interesting. But there we go. Yeah, little bits getting there. Still all these little tiny little things. I mean, bleeding the brakes probably take me a couple of hours. I just hate doing that. It never seems to go quickly for me. But yeah, I will keep cracking on, and thanks for watching. Happy New Year, and see you next week.